Who are the top football subcultures? You already know who it is, your boy Derek Diablo, Diablo TV, live subscribe, do things you're supposed to do, champ. And we examine who are the top football, soccer as they say in America, football as they say down south and elsewhere. Who's the top subculture? Well, first of all, most people don't know what a subculture is because you are part of mainstream society. You ain't part of a subculture. So then, to identify it is not a word that has its own meaning. It's not a general subculture of something else. Subculture are people who are part of the greater counterculture. For me, counterculture began Jack Kerouac, beat writers, what's called the beatniks, which gave way to the hip scene, which then gave way to punk, and as far as I'm concerned, it's skinhead. So then that's the intersection right there. So then football subcultures, we have to go back to the origins of football in Great Britain, and then as the Casuals book by Phil Thornton goes into, it's for a reason, it's Scallies, he's talking about Scallies, so I'm no expert of Scallies, and it has different names, different meanings, but to say a downtrodden working class, an underclass that doesn't have the liberty to experience the same life as the middle class and the upper classes, then adopts certain fashion and is already predisposed towards violence and being in violent situations and living in downtrodden and working class and living in poverty, as it were, and then taking bits of the Edwardian and the Victorian fashion, so to speak. To me, it looks like a delinquent boy. He's a misspent youth, like a AC/DC Angus Young or something like that, right? He looked like still like a mean schoolboy, to be honest with you. So I think that beyond this general term of Scallies, people didn't call themselves that as what we know of a subculture today. The main subculture is punks, skinheads, punk rockers, punks, skinheads, rude boys. As far as Great Britain, here we have hardcore kids. Hardcore is not as big in UK, let's say. Talking about hardcore punk, what comes off of hardcore punk. Because then you got the rave subculture. So a raver is somebody, a punk is somebody, a skinhead is somebody, a boot boy is somebody, a casual is somebody, a TED is somebody, a mod is somebody. To me, people who are not in one of those, it's not that you're nobody, but you're not anybody in particular. You're not part of one of these subcultures. Root word, cult, bomb. So the first one, official, that I could say, British subculture, I think TEDS. I think TEDS is the embodiment of that Edwardian, Victorian sort of thing. You know, it's subversive. It's a youth-based culture. It's violent. It's against the system. It's for the have-nots, so to speak, to make our own stand and use bits of their culture and make it our own way. And sooner or later, they're copying us. Then you see the elites want to act like they're from the streets. You understand? And adopting elements of street culture. So I think TEDS is first, as far as what you can say, a cult that enters into the football scene on the burgeoning hooliganism, football hooliganism scene. Hey, how y'all doing down there? It wasn't a scene back then as such, you understand? But nonetheless, you had these youth cults or youth tribes, British youth tribes. England, Great Britain is who invented these things, right? Let's have it right. Great Britain is who invented these, because you have rude boys from Jamaica, and so let's say rude boys is a subculture, but the TEDs in that is prior. So TEDs, you got dandies. I don't reckon they made much of an appearance on the terraces. You got droogs, Clockwork Orange overlaps with skinheads, overlaps with Clockwork Oi boys and so forth. I don't know that it's a unique enough culture to call it actual subculture. The terrace is more of a part of the skinhead punk thing. Bam, TEDs. And mods, who's first, mods or TEDs? Bomb, that's another discussion. Then you look at mods versus rockers. So how much of the rocker element was on the terraces? Not much that I see now. We have boot boys. So boot boys is your football subculture. Right? There's lads that are not in the hooligan firm, or they're not football hooligans or football casuals as such, are boot boys, and that's the distinction. So this is what I see. Not every casual is a skinhead. Some were skinheads back then, but every casual is a boot boy. Or is it? Because a boot boy implies violence. And a boot boy implies that you're ready to fight and that you're in some sort of a gang or outlaw sort of subculture, even though other people don't understand by the fashion. That's where it comes to casuals, the fashion, but it's always been about fashion, if you think about it. That's the entire premise of mods. So mods, TEDs, skins, rude boys, casuals, we're all kind of all on the same side. And the enemy culturally is rockers in the sense that we have a different fashion and a different aesthetic. So I believe I'll leave it there for now. But casuals is what rules the terraces now. Then you have another thing, scarfers. So scarfers is the mainstream. Scarfers who wear the scarves from t-shirts, fair play to them. But as we say in the casual scene or in this hooligan game that we're in, there's no glory in beating up scarfers. So a scarfer's on the opposite side of it. Then you have the trouble of scarfers wearing clobber and being indistinguishable from casual. So if you attack them, but you're just attacking some ordinary guys. Hey, but that's not your fault. They should not be wearing the clobber. If you turn up the football matches wearing designer clothing, right? The likes of Stone Island, CP Company, Adidas, the Adidas could be something that anybody could wear, but you're not wearing team colors and you're deliberately wearing designer clothes. What I got on? Oh, the martial artist, let's see. Yeah, right, just happen to be walking around, So any can see if you're into this, if you're a skinhead, you can see I'm wearing particular thing. Nobody is going to be wearing no martial artist shorts unless you're up on this. So it's a subtle clue. And the casuals is a subversive subculture, which came out of skinheads. So it begs the question: do modern casuals, young boys, feel the connection to skinheads, and do they revere it as part of their history, or they couldn't be bothered? The end.